Hello everyone, welcome once again wherever and whenever you're watching. So today is Saturday, so I went to the shop yesterday because the comics came in a day late. So Wednesday they came on Thursday, they were ready by Thursday afternoon. That was because on Monday, which was the 16th, was the Mexican Independence Day. So nobody was working, and it usually happens when there's a holiday, usually on Mondays, you know, everything gets pushed back a day. So the comics arrived on the Thursday and they were ready in the afternoon. So I went yesterday. So this was a very slow week for me. In fact, I only picked up one book, which I'll be showing, plus two back issues. So, anyways, I'll show you what I got. Again, this is a 2D cover, not a 3D cover, from the Balance Month. Um, and this book to me is basically essential reading because it ties into uh, an upcoming Superman crossover. Uh, and so it's Hell, Superman 23.3 Hell. And before I do a little review on this book, I'll show you what the back issues, and I'll give you a little primer on Hell because yesterday, as I was watching Comic Book Roundtable, nobody really had any idea who the character was. I think Oddfellow's Thoughts had a bit of an idea, but that's the only. But the Supergirl issues of the crossover where the character makes his first appearance. So I'll just give you the quick lowdown on who Hell is in just a moment. Um, this is the second printing of issue number 4 of All New X-Men. If you've been watching my videos, I decided to pick this up on a regular basis, and I'm just catching up on it uh, while I wait for the next issue, which is I don't know what part of the Adam story arc is they're on, but I actually been thinking of picking up the rest of the books for that event, but so far I've been able to handle it. I've been able to handle X-Men crossovers in the past just by buying one book with the a little recap page. Really gets you caught up on the what's going on. So I never really needed to bother getting the other issues. And I've heard that Uncanny X-Men that came out this week was kind of slow. So being Bendis who's been writing these things, 10 parts, you know, it's Bendis, so sometimes he stretch things out more than necessary. Finally, this one's Excalibur number 91. Um, this is one of my favorite of the original X-Men spin-off books. And I mean original because these were from like the first generation of spin-off books that came out of Chris Claremont's original run on Uncanny X-Men. You had New Mutants, then I believe X Factor, and this one was like the last one of the original spin-off books, X-Men spin-off books. And this is a very fun issue. I really enjoy these issues where it's just the team members hanging out, no real action or real drama going on, just a fun little story. Okay, so that's what I picked up this week. Um, Not much, but I've um, I've enjoyed the what I've got. So now the a quick primer on who Hell is. Well, Hell debuted in a story arc in the first Superman family crossover in the 1952 called Hell on Earth, and he appeared. His first his first appearance was in issue 13 of Superman, which is you know billed billed as this is like a prelude to a hell on Earth, and his first appearance was at the end of this issue, which pretty much kicked off in the issue 14. So the entire crossover from all the issue 14 from issue 14 through 17 of all the Superman family books, plus the Superboy annual, the first one I believe it was, and so to basically understand this issue, we have to go to the final part, which was in Superman number 17, because the issue Superman number 23.3 picks up a few months after this last page in the book. Okay, so to get in context the whole thing. So Hell on Earth. So who is Hell? H, Hell. So who the hell is Hell, if you will? Sorry. So who the hell is Hell, and what's his story? So Hell originally was conceived as the new 52 version of Bizarro, but the Superman editors, DC themselves thought that Hell was a completely radical visualization of Bizarro. It was a completely radical change. So they said, why not just make him a completely different character? So he became Hell. Now Hell believes he's the savior of Krypton. He's We kind of get an origin out of him. I don't remember which issue, but it's recapped in 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 here. It's recapped what he believes is his origin. So he believes he was a Kryptonian astronaut sent by Jor-El to explore the universe and find a way to save Krypton. So he comes to Earth, and he's been watching so apparently he crash landed on Earth, and he's been watching the Superman family. So he's been watching Superman, Supergirl, and Superboy. Superboy being a clone in Krypton. They had a whole mess of there was like sort of like a clone war. They actually had been cloning some sort of cloning project where they were used as servants. So they were considered abominations or they were considered abominations. So, he approaches Superman first, then he approaches Supergirl, and he confronts Superboy, pretty much bent on his destruction because he's a clone. So, throughout the entire storyline, Superman doesn't believe Krypton can be saved. The planet exploded years ago, 27 years ago. You know, while Supergirl believes that maybe Hal's proposition of saving Krypton by going back in time and avoiding the destruction of the planet, he'd be able to save it. Superman doesn't trust Hal that much. Supergirl does, which is one of the issues that a lot of Supergirl fans had, because Supergirl throughout the entire storyline acted a bit, you know, as a villain, probably a little bit, not very smart, not very much a dope, if you will. She wasn't very heroic until the very end. So throughout the story, we learn that his plan is to open a time portal, to go back in time and save Krypton before it explodes. Uh, so Superman, so Hal finally, goes into the fortress of solitude, you know, and he keeps Superman out. So he ends up calling the Justice League to help him out, which they do, you know. So the Justice League ends up fighting Supergirl and Hal, but mostly Supergirl. While Hal is busy doing whatever he's doing, Supergirl sort of is trying to protect Hal. So there's like this very weird romance between the both of them. She does whatever Hal wants, um, like a lackey. But somehow, and I always suspected this because it wasn't really stated, that perhaps Hal had some sort of control, some sort of mental control over Supergirl, because whenever Superman or anybody else would confront Supergirl, to face the truth or whatever, he would always show up. He knew uh, how to appease her if she had some doubts about that whatever he was doing. Um, so anyway, at the climax of this whole battle going on in the fortress, uh, Supergirl finally realizes that she was, played with. She found out that Hal's plan, his plan would involve pretty much destroying the Earth, because to open the portal you needed a whole, you know, an incredibly a large amount of energy, and that would end up destroying the Earth, using the sun pretty much to fuel the machine, and destroy the Earth. And of course she wasn't going to do that, you know. So at the very end, she grabs a piece of kryptonite, confronts Hal, and stabs him with the kryptonite. Uh, so that's how Supergirl would end up getting poisoned by kryptonite. But a small tear, uh, or a small opening for that time portal opened. So when Supergirl stabbed Hal, he goes into the time portal, which ends with that uh, panel I showed you. which is basically um, Jor-El finding the wounded Hal. I'll show it again. So see here. So here we see how Supergirl stabs, Hal with the kryptonite, and thus taking us to and then here's the panel where you can see Jor-El here finds the wounded Hal here, with the kryptonite lodged in his chest. So that's how the crossover basically ends. We also introduced a couple of new characters, like this Oracle. He's sort of like the Watcher, from Marvel. Just watching as the end comes, but not really doing anything. This character will be playing a role in the November crossover over the Superman books, which will be Superman, Supergirl, Superboy. Um, and we'll continue with the story in the Hell one shot that I'm going to review now. So, oh yeah, so it was established because, as I mentioned, Supergirl is actually poisoned by the kryptonite that you start on Hell's chest, because it has been established both here in the Superman books, in Action Comics as well. Kryptonite did not originate as it did before. It's not they are not pieces of the exploded planet Krypton. They're actually like isotopes, like radioactive minerals like uranium or radium, instead of being pieces of krypton. So because I was reading a review of this book recently, and I was amazed that the reviewer didn't remember that it had been established that kryptonite was actually like radioactive material on krypton, and didn't have the same origin as before. And it was also said that it was a very deadly substance to both Kryptonians and humans. So that's why Supergirl pretty much is at this very moment sick, kryptonite poisoning. So, anyways, to Superman 23.3, hell number one. Okay, so you saw the last panel. So basically, this story opens up several months. As we can see, Hell is unconscious. So in this issue, we learn his origin, his true origin. So he believed himself to be, an astronaut, sent to space to, provide help to Krypton. As it turns out, that's not true. In fact, Hell was a experiment by Jor-El, where there was a lot of mixture of genetic material that got irradiated with with radiation from outer space. So Hell, which is very weird, but when the ship crashed, apparently on Earth, all of these genetic materials, became I don't know, give me a second. Uh, they kind of Okay, so see, it seems I know I read it and I was having a little bit of a problem. Sorry about that. So as it turns out, hell actually was uh he crashed promptly on Earth or somewhere, uh, and let me find it here. So here we see now he crashes on Earth. So as it turns out, all these cells that Jorel sent to space kind of you know merged, if you will, and they became um, hell. And so he so at the moment of getting sentience, he created this entire backstory for himself, this sort of identity for himself. So whatever it is that he remembered, he just made it up as he was becoming a person, if you will. So Hal doesn't really like what discovering the truth about himself, and so he attacks Jor-El and decides that um, he's gonna rule Krypton. So he's going to basically change history, and it's it's one of those weird science fictiony time travel things now, where what he because of what his Jor-El sent all of these sort of cells of these ancient Kryptonian creatures, and ancestors of the Kryptonian people into space. Suddenly, Hell is going to change that to, I believe, with his very own cells. I believe that's what Jorah, something like that. Yes, sir. So it seems like he's gonna go and go. You know, it's one of those weird time things where apparently what Hell is going to send is his own cells in place of the stuff that Jorah was going to send in the first place. So I didn't really get that part of the story. All these time paradoxes and things like that. Crazy. So anyway, so now that Hal says he's going to rule Krypton, um, it sets the stage for the Krypton Return to Krypton story that's coming out in November. Starts with Action Comics Annual number 2, and it's going to called Superman, Supergirl, and Superboy number 25. So, anyways, I mean, part of the whole, it is kind of a confusing story. I have to reread it again to grasp some of the things here. The art's by Dan Jorgens, so so it's very nice art, but I'm never really been too keen with Ray McCarthy, who's the finisher inker of the book. I always preferred Brett Breeding, that sort of which inked uh, Dan back in the 90s. So that's a sort of the look of um, what Dan Jurgens and art should look like, And this guy, you still see it's Dan Jurgens, but I don't know, it's a lot more smoother, a lot more cleaner art. Uh, so yeah, I really like this issue. It's got a few confusing parts here and there, but in general, it kind of cleared up a few things about he has a bunch of powers that could be a possibility for Kryptonians, observing, that some radiation seems to have, like I mentioned, some sort of telepathic power as well. So, you know, you know, that it was an okay issue. I really enjoyed it. For me, this issue is essential for because it adds a few layers to who the character is. Because when he first came out, you weren't very sure, what his deal was, what his powers were, the truth of his origin. You had a sort of, you know, an origin, but even Supergirl says, if it's true what you say, the remember the happening that, you were someone that my Uncle Joral knew, and, you were sent to space, and everybody was very happy about it. And she doesn't remember it. And we learned that it's not true, that what passed as his origin just made it up as he was becoming someone. In fact, his name, actually Hell, came out of the Dorel's rocket, which actually said House of L. So I guess when he crashed or something, he only saw, you know, a few things and just came up with the name Hell. So, so there you have it. That's what I got this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope, it helped understand who the character Hell is if you didn't know. Always here to help. Anything Superman related from 1952 or whatever, I'll always, add little extra pieces of information just to make your reading experience more enjoyable if you picked up the book and you didn't know anything about it. So until next time, keep smiling. Wait, before I go, um, oh, before I go, I like to mention a site a special shout out to a site and a channel called the Art of Manliness. Please visit the site. I know the guy that runs that channel. I've talked to him, only once, I guess. But it's a really cool site. It's called the Art of Manliness. I'll I'll put in the description the um, the the link to their channel here on YouTube, to their blog, the art of manliness.com. And it's a really cool site. It's a really cool site. Um, it's run by a guy named Brett McKay, and they also have a couple of books published. Um, and I've been wanting to give this guy a shout out for a while, because it's a great site. A lot of the videos have a lot of their little fun videos. Some little how-to things. And the blog they run. You know it's full of very interesting and manly tips. He's has motivational stuff. He's lifestyle. How to dress well. You know lessons from that we can learn from historical figures, and lessons in manliness. And they have, for example, this book, which is the Art of Manliness: Classic Skills and Manners for the Modern Man. So he takes a lot of the stuff from past generations of men, you know the good stuff, and shows you how to be a better person in general. And anybody can visit it. It's called the Art of Manliness, but Um, his women are also welcome to it, to bring out their um, points of view. And in fact, the site is run by him and his wife. So give them a visit, because I sort of participate a little bit. I used to participate a little bit in their community, in their blog. You know, so now for real. Until next time, keep smiling.